As Rain Day quite rightly alluded to, one of these teams is not going to make it, which is kind of crazy considering how well they've all been playing across this weekend. And of course, there are still teams who are within touching distance of match point that could shake things up. DNO being one of the big heavy hitters. It's World's Edge once more to try and see if we can grab a winner here in match 6 or whether we're going to go to match number 7.
Well, good news is not too many contests here on World's Edge. We do know that, so everyone's going to have somewhere to land and play this game out. The real question, like we've mentioned, though, is this going to be the last game of the evening? Are we going to know who our two teams are that go through to represent North America in the ALGS Championship? That's what it's all about here, everybody. That's why we're here, and that is about as central zone as you will find on World's Edge. Oh, and then we even get the beacon information to show us it's even more central. Fragment is going to be the place to play. Those chokes just to the south of that zone outside of Geyser and north of Lava Siphon going to be vital to play as well, Dan.
Yeah, and it's a pretty fair zone, I could say, from the teams that are on match point. Furia from Climatizer, Stallions from Stacks, and DoJo from Thermal. 3 of our kind of edge POIs all are going to have to rotate into a central zone just from different directions. So that's good news, is they're not going to fight each other early. Maybe they can all find a position in Fragment, but it depends how quickly they move. Furia do have a ring console to work with, as do DoJo. I don't think that Stallions do down at Stacks. I can't quite see it. Maybe one of them is covering it. Oh, no, looks like they may as well. So, good news for all of their POIs. They have something to work with.
How many times do we see things end on this zone, by the way? You know what I mean? It's just, this zone's got something about it, everyone. I'm just saying, this zone has got something about it. Maybe a secret formula. Hey, see what I did there? Monument is going to be where they are currently transferring their bodies over to. Dropping Gaming working their way to Monument as well, looking to hit that ring console. But I think eyes on Furia here. Fragment zone, if they can get up on that height outside of Fragment to the north, on those on that big ridge outside of Epicenter, they might be able to pick off a couple of teams and get some early KP. The question is, are they going to be able to work their way through Fragment here, Dan? Because working your way through Fragment, even though there's buildings to be played, we know how tough it is to leave once you're in there and everyone starts to stack up.
Yeah, really tough rotation for some of these teams, but it's about how quick you can move, as Noxious are laying down some suppressing fire at the moment. They have the height advantage over towards Harvester, but whether they commit to this will be another question entirely. It is a somewhat isolated fight, but whether they actually want to take it or not will have to remain to be seen.
Looks like the evac tower is going to be the play instead here for Noxious. 21 points for them so far, still some way off of match point. Their job right now is to try and keep this lobby going. Looking at the kill feed though, you can see a couple of knocks coming in from Shuby, so he's doing what he can to try and get this lobby moving a little bit. 2 players going to be eliminated early. Noxious now making their way towards zone and should have some good prior. This is a good decision to leave Harvester, hit that evac tower and get ahead of the traffic, because now they are in a priority position. But we do know how tough this place is to hold down, Dan. Yes, you have some rocks to play, but the height differential between teams coming through that choke and the position that you're holding down can be difficult to fight with sometimes with those teams coming in late.
Yeah, it depends whether they want to keep going with their rotation or whether they will just try and hold those rocks. Now, DNO are in a spot where we've seen a lot of teams try and hold for this zone time and time again. Not as easy with the composition that they have. I mean, Watson usually helps, as Zapora have lost 1, make it 2 that they've lost, and it is going to be all 3 of them down at 1, 2, and 3, as Yer will get the kills, and they'll push themselves up to 15 points. So it's still a long way to go for them to get anywhere near match point, as they are very hesitant at the moment, thinking there could be a third party.
And you can see just some shots being exchanged. It will have a bit of time to reset here, so it should be able to at least be guns up if someone does come in for that third party. But to be honest, it looks like are alone at Harvester at the moment, so they can take their time having won that fight. Chadamus Prime had rotated in the choke just ahead of them towards zone, and I'll tell you what, it is looking very busy already. You can see Native holding down those crates early. That's where we expect maybe this end zone to pull towards. That's where we've seen a lot of finishes outside of Fragment. But Native holding down this choke, I would say this is the priority position. This is where we saw Luminosity Gaming win one of those, this zone on LAN just a few weeks ago. Was it a week ago? A few weeks ago now?
It was a week ago, mate.
It's a week ago, wasn't it? Yeah. Time's fast. Oh, you can't be looting and get trapped in a box.
Your part is not done.
It'll be alright. One of the reasons why
it'll be alright. Tap on the back.
Can work out for you.
Not be get clean. Oh
no. Not a huge... Oh god, he's going back. He'll be alright. We don't see loads of race nowadays, but
turns out he was all right.
Turns out he was okay. Ape Gang eliminated. Even despite their victory in the previous game, they will bow out at the early stages. Will not get to match point here in match number 6, so they'll have to sit back, watch, and hope that we carry on going into match 7. But yeah, you made a good point about the areas that people are holding. You know, it's doable, but usually without the likes of a Watson, without the likes of a Newcastle, which some of these teams on land did have to hold these spots, it suddenly becomes a lot more tough to actually be able to hold out. You need to have good suppressing fire if you are going to be holding this. You need to be scaring other teams away from you so they don't just walk up on you too comfortably.
Well, Fury have worked their way just into the respawn village to the east of Fragment at the moment. I keep wanting to say they'll be all right now. You've got it in my head. They'll be all right. They'll be all right. And it's probably one of the best things you've said.
Maybe I should just coach a couple of teams at LAN, and every single time that they lose one, you'll be all right.
You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. Anyway, Fragment is currently getting very busy. You can see that right now. Noxious are in there. Secret Formula, Chadamus Prime, all involved. You have Fury at Team Stability. They're holding down the respawn village just next to them at the moment. Rise are moving their way from Epicenter at the moment. And Stallions, the team, one of our 3 teams who are on match point, they're kind of playing this a little bit slower at the moment. The second place overall, just kind of leaving Lava Siphon at the moment. And trying to see if there's anyone to hold out for them. Maybe to just think about picking up some extra points. They certainly don't have prio to this zone. A lot of teams ahead of them at the moment.
Yeah, the best position from one of our match point squads would be Furia. They have found themselves at least in that next circle, whereas both Stallions and DoJo are going to have to move on in. I mean, DoJo have got to move a lot further, but at least Stallions are within touching distance of this zone. It's a really tough position to be in because we mentioned this during EMEA. Yes, you're on match point, and yes, you want to play it safely because you want to win the game and you want to get into one of those priority positions. But at the same time, if you don't get enough points and one of the other teams does reach match point and does conclude everything here at match number 6, you could not qualify. So it is a really difficult thing to try and balance, as we're having, again, more action going down here at Fragment as a few teams are just trying to contest one another for a couple of these buildings.
And you can see that Yera trying to pick up the KP on the outside of this building. The car's going to hit pretty hard there from Miles, but not get that knock. Now they're going to have to reinforce, take control of the doors once more and retreat back up to the second floor. But the difficulty of Fragment, like I mentioned, it feels like, yeah, we've got a great spot to play from. But when there's 3 or 4 other teams trying to play the same buildings, the same spots, and then you have to leave, someone has to die. Most hated might be that first team to die. As you can see, Dynasty is stuck under these tracks. And again, it's McLovin this time. But the same weapon that we've seen so many times in that kill feed, the 30-30 really is ripping through bodies today.
It really is destroying when it's in the right hands. And at the moment, again, we see someone else go down and McLovin will fall. A nice little response from Laser, but I don't think it will be enough to win the engagement. Yeah, should still be fine here in Fragment. All the meanwhile, by the way, Stallions started to move on down to the south. They went back to Lava Siphon to get a survey beacon so they could get more information as to where teams were residing and where they might be able to push. So that's an interesting strategy and probably the correct one considering the spot that they were in, just to give them that little extra bit of info. But looks like yeah are going to be okay after the little engagement they had. They got a couple of KP on the board and now they can sit tight and pretty for quite some time.
18 squads now remaining. Most of the kills we've seen and we've caught early on in this game, but it's the end game that's really important here. Who is going to be the team to come out on top? Stallions, one of the match point teams. You mentioned their rotation. Well, it looks like they're headed towards Geyser at the moment, and with the information they have, they're probably thinking about wrapping all the way through to the Vault Tunnel. They know that DNO, well, they're going to know A team, I should say, is holding down the choke in front of them right now. Funk's going to try and scout this out, having just hit that survey beacon. But one thing they can do is probably wrap through the Vault Tunnel and find a building in the respawn village to play, or just do that. That's as simple as possible. Force them down away from that choke and take it for your own.
Meat have just lost one, or Meat Lovers have lost one. Flat. Looking to try and do some damage as the R99 does what it always does, and it'll be the initial opener onto Luxford. And now it means that Meat Lovers will fall in 18th position, so we won't see Meat Lovers get any closer to match point. It has not been the same kind of performance from them that we've seen throughout the previous matches here in the LCQ. In the winners bracket, they did so well. They came in 3rd position, but have not been able to get going today.
The Stallions have kind of found a place to play DNO are holding them out at the moment, and this is a really, really interesting fight because you can see the armor advantage is certainly with Stallions on that low ground, but DNO have the height. The problem for them is resources. I mean, you're looking across at the moment, already being shared out here between them. DNO made that quick rotate to hold this down, knowing it's a priority position. Lose some fantastic shots with that Nemesis, but Stallions are going to make the play here. They are throwing everything at this. This could be a potential game-winning play if they can win this fight, but the black hole doesn't do the damage it needs to. We'll jump into a listening with Stallions as they try and force the pace here.
Yeah, I'm joining.
Slide back down, slide back down.
I'm joining here. Come down.
Are you guys clear? Yeah, I'm fine. They're sliding.
Wait, come down.
One shot, dead.
Dead.
On me.
Flush.
They're coming. Oh, man.
Bro.
I clipped one, bro. We gotta look for that, man.
It was a short listening, Dan, but Stallions eliminated on match point, which means DNO now hit 50 themselves. And they will be on match point as well. Important kills for them, but it was a risky play. They tried to kind of throw all their eggs in one basket, but this time it doesn't come off.
DNO, match point as you said, but they can't win it in this game. So now they just have to try and deny both Furia and DoJo after denying Stallions. So one is down, 2 more to go. Speaking of DoJo, they're still having a jolly old time at the moment, still in the zone over towards Harvester. They do have a ring console here in Harvester as well that they can use if they would like to, just to get that extra information as they progress over towards Fragment. Now the circle is going to be going to the train tracks, so it's not the worst pull for DoJo. They've had a pretty
good pull for DoJo, yeah.
If it had gone southeast and gone towards the likes of Native and DNO, DoJo probably would have a difficult time winning this game. But with it pulling to the southwest, it means if DoJo win one fight on their approach here, they might find themselves in one of the better positions.
Pretty crazy how one zone shift can change the complexion of the match. We were talking about Fury being in a good spot a few moments ago. If we were thinking it was going to pull towards those blue crates, but then you see that shift just to the left of where we were expecting it, and now the DoJo get that opener onto build. Now they can push. This is their opportunity. Listening is ready. Let's go into the comms of the DoJo, see how they push this.
Teammates off. Watch our back now.
I'm holding anchor. I'm not forward. I need to get spikes up, but I'm not forward right now.
I'm good. He's got a volt and everything. Or
I
far.
move?
They're looking to come towards us. Crack, 90 on bang, gold.
Careful, you're right.
That guy's a good angle.
We are good. It's the duo. Keep watching our back though. They're getting pinched.
One HP.
They're getting pinched.
I'm watching.
I'm just saying he's 1 HP.
Yes, we just gotta hard watch our back. We can't push any further than this.
100 on cat. They're backing up.
Can't lose any trades here.
3 bats.
I'm taking that off.
I have no digi. That might be bad.
I'm here.
Do you want? I can play this right rock until zone goes.
No.
No, okay.
You do not want to be that far split. I don't want him to do.
I'm grabbing. There's hella nades in here.
Yep.
Evac right here too.
Popping 2 cells. I'm gonna have 5.
One takeaway from that listening, Dan, is, DoJo recognize the situation. Yes, they get the knock. That allows them to move into a safe spot, but they constantly were talking to each other. I think it was designed for in the comms saying, stay close to each other. Do not put yourself in a position that one of us can get singled out. Play tight, and from there, we're going to be in a position, if we have to fight, that we can all support each other.
And just be well aware of who's coming behind them. And it was E8, but they backed E8 off, and now E8 are pushing up onto Native here and looking to see if they can maybe grab a spot in this chokehold. But it looks like even with the Dark Veil being down and the counter Dark Veil, it's too much for them to even think about trying to push it. They're so vulnerable and blind as they push up that hill. As in the kill feed, Furia have lost 1. Albrelli's gone down. It's Pandas and Zeratriki now left as a 2 to try and do the job here for Furia.
Really, really tough run this for Furia. Are they going to try and grab this banner? Can they get Albrelli back into this game? Is there a mobile res available? It looks like they're being baited for that banner. They didn't manage to get the pickup either. And now Furia have to retreat, but they're getting shot from so many angles at the moment. This could be the end of the road here for Furia, unless Pandas can do something special here. Has a little bit of cover, but not enough to keep him alive. Zeratriki now last alive for Furia. One of our match point teams looks like they're about to fall here.
Furia do go down, so now all attention turns back to the DoJo, our last match point team who can win in this game. as Rise will also be the next team to be eliminated. E8 still kind of posturing up, still having a little old look towards the likes of Native, but Native lost some. Team Stability are down to 1. Bill are also in the area, so there's a lot of squads who are weak
DoJo
in
have
this
zone.
choke point.
DoJo have zone, by the way.
DoJo
Bill
do
was
have
the
zone.
team, the duo who were holding them out, and now DoJo have complete control of zone. They have access, they have the height, they have the rocks. DoJo could do this. It's a long way to go, don't get me wrong, with 12 squads remaining. Someone could send it onto them, but DoJo are in a great spot right now to win this game.
And if DoJo were to win the game, of course, second place would be the highest points total. At the moment, Furia are leading on 58, but DNO are still alive, and DNO are on 52. So Furia, it's going to be a nervy game and a nervy watch for them, because only, 7 points required for DNO to overtake Furia, and DoJo could still win off the back of that as well. So a lot to do still for DoJo, though. Even though they have a good position, and yes, they have access to that zone, it's somewhat of an exposed one. There are certain angles they can be shot from. They have the big rock they can play on that left-hand side for now, and Flat are just going to be on the other side of the train track. So that's going to be their first point of contact here.
Yeah, you got to think that's their worry. You can see they're also extremely worried about someone wrapping behind them. 2 players went to look at that to make sure it was clear, and now knowing it is clear with the zone closing, the DoJo only have to focus forward. E8 trying to force their way forward themselves, though. Dark Veil going to go down as they try and find a place to play in zone. The Dark Veil going to come up a little bit short here, which is going to leave them exposed, and Naughty's going to find that out for himself. This is a tough spot for E8 to survive.
Yeah, really difficult as they're being shot from several angles at the moment, but the back could get the reset for them as we still get another little look as to where the DoJo are going to hold, the rocks that they can play. And they can just scout out several different angles themselves here, but they kind of want to go unnoticed. It's a really difficult way to try and play here because you want to put a pressure on other teams as we see Bill, Stability, and E8 go down, but you also don't want to generate too much attention that people start pushing you as Designball's taking a lot of damage. So is Timmy. Got to be careful here.
Managed to retreat to the safety of the teammates. Enemy doing what he can to give as much cover fire as he can to his 2 teammates, but they command zone right now. They are on the God Rock. They have the God spot. And with match point already being hit, the DoJo are so close right now to going and representing North America at the ALGS Championships. It would be a Cinderella story, but you would love to see these 3 players back on that main stage doing what they do best. That is the lay of the land on the left-hand side of your screen. That is where everyone is, and everyone inside of Fragment probably going to die on their way out, Dan. Everyone has to fight here as the zone will force them in, and that just makes the DoJo's job even easier towards this endgame.
The biggest threat for DoJo is the team that just hit match point. It's DNO, who have got to win this one, you feel, to try and send this to match number 7. And I mean, you talk about players who we want to see at championships and the Cinderella story and the comeback story. I mean, what an opportunity it would be for Dupe, Xenox, and Lou to try and find themselves on LAN once again. But to do so, they really have to shut down DoJo here. And if they've been paying attention to that kill feed, they'll know full well that DoJo are the last remaining team on match point who could win here. And DoJo have the zone, but DNO also have a good position. I feel like they could be the last 2 teams that duke it out here in this final circle if they play it correctly.
Duplex trying to just step up a little bit here with that hemlock in his hands. Opening damage is going to be vital. Secret formula, they need 6 more points to get onto match point themselves. No KP for the team at the moment, but they are forcing their way towards that zone. Keep raising that kill feed. Good shots coming in from right now. Should be able to finish this one off as well and manage to do so. They're getting closer. They're getting closer and closer to match point, but they still need 2 here, Dan.
Still need 2. 7 squads remaining. DNO are starting to pick up some points here, which is catching them up to Furia. Remember, if DoJo win here, it will be second place afterwards as DNO go down. 4 squads remain. Secret formula going to fall as well. We're down to just 2. It's DoJo versus DNO for a chance to be at the Apex Championships.
DoJo, this is your moment. This is where you have to clutch up. They will know it better than anyone how close they are. The Bangalore goes down. The black hole is destroyed. But the Dark Veil is also down. Duplex finds a safe place. And he also has a vantage spot here. Duplex is down. Duplex is down, and that means the Dojo have a chance to move in with a 3v2 to close out match point and send themselves to the ALGS Championships. It's all about being patient here, Dan.
It's all about the patience. It's all about the drama. They've played so incredibly well over the last few days. The LCQ has been dominated by DoJo, and a chance to wrap it up here now with a 3 versus 2.
3 versus 2, still Lou and Senox alive. Can Dupe get back towards Lou? Are they going to be able to get a res off here? The damage is being done, though, and you can see that Design4 has given the signal to go. They fly in. The Dojo, they came out swinging, they came out fighting, and they leave with tickets booked to Birmingham. The Dojo will win it. Let's listen to the celebration.
Oh my god!
Who's gonna carry the
That's the passion. That's the passion right there. They can't believe it, Dad. Almost, I can't believe it either. The story is complete. The Dojo will be at champs.
Do you know what's even better? DNO are going to be there as well. They were in that final circle. They were in that final 3v3. They've got enough points to be in second place. It was actually better that DNO lost that fight. They might not have known it at the time, but it meant they were guaranteed to go through just on points. It will be Furia who miss out in third place. So we have our 2 NA LCQ teams, and what 2 amazing stories as well. Squads that have gone through so many different team changes, been dropped from teams, formed new teams, and they all 6 of them find themselves at LAN. An amazing result for both these squads.
Incredible, absolutely amazing. And also, I got to give a big shout out to Design in that final fight. He gets that first pick, and it's so important in that 3v3 to get that first pick and to just play the patient game, wait for that opening, and then convert. That's what they did. They didn't rush it after that, didn't throw away a life to turn it into a little bit of a shaky feeling 2v2 to close things out. Both teams, I think quite rightly, almost poetically in that final fight, Dan. But the Dojo, I mean, what a story, man. What a story. Dominating all the way up to today and then continuing that domination. Amazing stuff from them. We'll bring Rain Day back in for some discussion because this man built Dojos and now he gets to talk about one.
Yes, you can see I lay my stories early and they pay off big. Just like I laid every, well, not brick, because, you know, Dojo was kind of like, it was like mini brick and like some wood and stuff. You don't need to worry about the details. All I'm saying is I said Dojo at the beginning and now we're saying it at the end. What a moment for a team that has so much, I think, behind them in terms of fandom, in terms of experiences, in terms of journeys, in all different areas around Apex to put it together here at the last chance qualifier and take the win. And I just think, like Mark had said, Dan, getting that first pick for Dojo, that was the difference. And maybe it wasn't important because DNO was going anyways, but that's got to give them a lot of confidence in what this team could do on the main stage now heading into September, knowing they've booked their tickets.
Hey, there's a lot of ways I can look at that fight if DNO knew where their position was and they knew who they were up against, but I don't think we need to go into that. All we have to focus on is that both those teams got to that final circle. We saw the positions. One was on the east side, one was on the west side. They just had to hold out the squads that were arriving from Fragment, and when they got into that final circle, I think they probably both knew they were in a pretty good position to get themselves into the Apex Championships. But when you're in that fight, when you've got that adrenaline flowing through you, you just want to focus what's in front of you, and that's about winning that engagement. And Dojo, quite rightly, will get that victory that they deserve. It wasn't, you know, the 132 points that we saw them dominate throughout the winners bracket. They had to work a lot harder and be a lot more tactical about their approach here in the grand finals, but they got the job done, and I'm very excited to see them compete on LAN.
I'm on the east side. I'm on the west side. I'm on the east bank. I'm on the West Bank. It ain't that big a deal. A little shout out to Robin Hood Men in Tights as well. Mel Brooks, one of my favorites. But let's take a look at that final circle, Mark, and talk me through it because, you know, we saw DNO have an opportunity. Duplex, usually a guy that we can trust in those situations. Not that he didn't play it perfectly, but obviously going down first, you got to say there's room for improvement there in this fight.
I mean, this is the first time we're going to see it from Dojo POV, right? And this is the opportunity for us to really see what happened in these moments. And that is the shot through the dark veil from Designful, just tracking and predicting where he is going to be falling, seeing that arc through the air. And I mean, we've talked about Timmy quite rightly, but Enemy and Designful today have been absolutely outstanding. And that kill there is the difference between closing out on match point and maybe having to sweat a little bit longer. The Dojo step up when it matters. And then this is the bit that impressed me most. We know that, you know, maybe there's a bit of adrenaline. We know that Timmy sometimes maybe is victim to that adrenaline and tries to get in there and finish the kills as quickly as possible. But the calls that were coming in, I think there were counter calls from Designful just saying, play together, play this slow, make sure that we don't give an opportunity away. That's what they did. They turned the 3v2 into a win, and they booked their tickets to the ALGS champs. I mean, what a good feeling, right?
Yeah, and massive shout out. Like you said, we talked a lot about Timmy, but Designful and Enemy, they definitely deserve their moments in the sun. I remember back in Sweden after not such a great performance, and then of course in champs, Designful saying that he was retiring from Apex Legends. Well, he finds himself now back at champs. Pretty interesting journey for him as well. Enemy's such a talented player, and Timmy, you know his name if you know Apex, if you know streaming in general. Pretty much one of the biggest streamers in the world. Now he is finding himself back in that competitive seat, and he is doing extremely well. I just can't wait enough. I mean, let's take a look, if we can, at some of these results. We know what's going to happen. We know these game results. This is how the top 10 panned out. And I think the biggest story was what was going to happen to Furia. That was the biggest question, Dan. And as we look on that backside, it's unfortunate that they went out too early because they had to wait and watch and ultimately see what could have been their spot at LAN heading into Game 6, taken away by these top two teams.
Yeah, I think as soon as Furia went down, they would have just been eagerly hoping that they saw DoJo go down in the kill feed as well. But then as they saw them approach, maybe hoping that the 58 points they had would have been enough to take them to LAN. But as DNO got further and further into the game, it was worst case scenario for Furia when they saw those final two teams competing, and they probably realized it was near impossible for them to go to a match number 7. It's going to be a very tough time for Furia. You've got to give them credit for being able to get in that position, considering the late team change after playoffs and the retirement of his Watson. So, you know, hats off to those guys. It'll be a shame not to see them at LAN, but of course, I'm sure we will see them in year 4 in some capacity. Whether it be the same roster, whether it be on different rosters, I don't know. But what matters is we are sending 2 teams to the ALGS Championships. It's going to be DoJo from Matchpoint and DNO from the 62 points they accrued.
And if you need a reason to get your tickets or to make sure you're hype about September 6th through 10th in Birmingham, UK, the fact is we're covering 2 stories today. There's going to be 38 other teams there with just as equally fascinating stories qualified for LAN. And you're seeing them right here from the Optic Gaming's now Dupe. A little bit of, I don't know, journey back into the good graces. Will he and his team outperform what Optic Gaming has done after changing out his position with Dropped before SSG broke up and they all went their different ways? Go next as well from EMEA, having a fantastic LCQ.